What if I told you that fat accumulation was just some big misunderstanding, with origins dating back 50 million years, when this beautiful floating rock got blindsided by a not so beautiful rock and subsequently placed the whole animal kingdom at risk of demise? T's and P's to all the dinosaurs out there. And the early primates who made it through, our ancestors, did so by being gifted a few genetic mutations, which, fast forward to present day, 20 to 30 million years later, turned into a bug, much alike a bug in the computer operating system, a bug being exploited in the modern day environment. And I know what you're thinking. Sounds like it has potential to be the next Netflix blockbuster. Now that I think about what I just said, ironically, probably incorrect. But anywho, yo, what is up? Welcome back to another week of How to Health. My name is Kevin. I run liftandbalance.com, where we take aim at all things health and do it in an odd, weird, interesting, and highly sarcastic manner. Today, we are going to talk about an evidence-based evolutionary theory, proposing how our modern-day metabolic woes, the diseases of metabolic syndrome, and our ever-growing relationship with our love handles may very well be a byproduct of a few key genetic mutations that were absolutely critical for our survival millions of years ago. And I want to say and reemphasize evidence-based evolutionary theory. Still evolutionary theory, with evidence to support it. Educated guesses. Very educated guesses. And a lot of what we're going to talk about is based off the elaborate and groundbreaking work from Rick Johnson and team at the University of Colorado, who've been publishing papers on the topic along with others over the last 2 decades, with the latest analysis in his most recent book. So we're going to do what we love to do here and take a look at this modern day conundrum of metabolic disease through a evolutionary lens, breaking down what these 2 mutations were, why scientists think they happened, how modern day lifestyle have turned these evolutionary features into a disease accelerating problem, and what we could potentially do. That's always a good thing, right? So grab the non-microwave bag popcorn, because it's going to be a good one. First, let's talk about one of our ancestors' main source of energy way back when, fructose. You've probably heard and associated this compound as sugar. And you wouldn't be wrong. This is the sugar that is responsible for turning our taste buds into the Rockettes, kicking for joy in appreciation for the sweetness. This simple sugar, which is naturally present in foods such as fruit and honey, was thought to be one of the main sources of energy for our early ancestors, which 50 million-ish years ago were these lemur-looking things. This was the case because fruit was abundant all year round in the tropical areas that these little burrowing primates lived. But then something happened. Something pretty big. Not in a good way. A famous asteroid decided to crash the party, creating a sun-blocking smog throughout the atmosphere, which killed off many food sources and thus many species. This event, which has been estimated to have happened around 66 million years ago, is thought to be one of the catalysts for mutation number 1, the loss of in-house vitamin C production. It's believed that our ancestors lost the ability to synthesize in-house vitamin C approximately 30 to 40 million years ago, driven by a mutation in the L-galluno lactone oxidase gene. Now, you may be asking, why? And more importantly, why should I care? And to answer this, we have to understand a little bit about vitamin C and then understand how it interacts with the aforementioned primary source of energy, fructose. Well, vitamin C conducts multiple functions that help our body operate more efficiently. But one of its major actions is acting as a potent antioxidant, or a compound that neutralizes potentially harmful free radicals and prevents them from damaging cells. In other words, it helps preserve cellular health. Kind of important, right? However, it also plays a role in blocking fructose metabolism, partially inhibiting it from being broken down and creating a biochemical environment that promotes fat accumulation. So why would this be a good thing that early primates silenced their ability to control fat accumulation? To answer that, we gotta remember the times. This was thought to be a time period of global cooling and food scarcity. So it's hypothesized that the mutation of this gene may have been a benefit to early primates by increasing uric acid levels and enhancing fructose's fat storing effect, helping our ancestors store more energy when they could find food, and thus aiding the survival of the species. Damn, evolution is good. But what modern day data do we have on the topic? Well, one study that took vitamin C deficient mice and supplemented their high fructose corn syrup diet with either high vitamin C or low vitamin C found that after a few months and after both groups consumed the exact same amount of fructose, the group that had the higher vitamin C seemed to be protected from a lot of the metabolic effects of obesity. Other animal research has shown that antioxidants, including vitamin C, can partially block the effects of fructose on inducing metabolic syndrome, while excess fructose has actually shown to potentially inhibit vitamin C synthesis in mammals that are capable of synthesizing vitamin C. Pretty crazy. But what may be the most interesting is vitamin C's impact on lowering uric acid levels, which is a byproduct of fructose metabolism in the liver. But why should we care about that? Genetic mutation number 2, the loss of uricase, the uric acid enzyme. Moving on through history, around 15 million years ago, our early great ape ancestors were living primarily in Europe, Asia, and Africa. Most evidence suggesting that they were living in tropical rainforests, where the main course of breakfast, lunch, and dinner was fruit, for which the primary energy constituent is fructose. And during another round of global cooling, this time with no known asteroid crash in the party, there was a loss of tropical rainforest and a development of seasonal climates. As Jon Snow would say, winter is coming. This shift led to periodic food shortages in Europe, and with it, the progressive reduction in primate population. Yeah, these guys can't catch a break, huh? And by 5 million years ago, there was no longer evidence of these apes living in Europe. So what happened to them? Well, the paleoanthropological, I think I said that right, record suggests that they may have migrated back to Africa and ultimately became the ancestors of modern great apes and us intelligent walking apes. And again, I know what you're thinking. YouTube, telepathy. Where and how does uric acid become relevant? Well, if you recall, uric acid is a byproduct of fructose metabolism in the liver, and its accumulation in modern-day humans has been associated with higher prevalence of disease and conditions such as gout. And this unique metabolism leading to the formation of uric acid has been shown to affect our cells in 2 key ways. First, by depleting our cellular energy stores and increasing the host organism's sensitivity to fructose, aka inducing a cellular state that promotes fat storage and the desire to eat more. Okay, I think I'm beginning to see how this can be potentially problematic in the wrong context. What's number 2? Secondly, by acting as a pro-oxidant within the cellular membrane, inducing oxidative stress and mitochondria dysfunction, with observed effects around inhibiting fat oxidation, a topic we actually dive deeper into here. So wait a sec, you're telling me this is essentially putting the organism in a state of storing fat, increasing appetite, and becoming a worse fat burner? Is that what I'm hearing? And both of these phenomena have been shown to happen in lab rats when they have their fructose consumption increased. However, the development of obesity and metabolic syndrome in response to the fructose was shown to be largely prevented by reducing uric acid. All right, back to history. So what happened next? Researchers hypothesized that during the excursion to Europe, our ancestors lost the gene uricase, the gene that allowed them to break down uric acid easily. And this, just like that vitamin C mutation, was actually a survival feature, enhancing our ancestors' ability to accumulate fat in response to food scarcity, biochemically wiring them to promote the eating of as much fruit as possible and storing as much fat as possible when the opportunity presented itself, essentially making them more obesogenic so they wouldn't die. Is the yikes starting to click in yet? Yeah. And thus, modern humans lack uricase, and as a consequence have higher serum uric acid, which was never really a problem, to be honest, until now. The modern day problem. Here's the problem. For much of evolution, having temporary diabetes or obesity wasn't a disease. Instead, believe it or not, it was a survival tool, helping our ancestors store fat and store the energy that they need so they can survive the times of food scarcity, like the winter. But obviously, as we most likely found out firsthand, if it's activated chronically, becoming more insulin resistant and storing more fat along the way, it's no longer something that helps you survive. Instead, it creates and accelerates many of the diseases afflicting modern day society. Translation: these evolutionary survival features have turned into modern day bugs in the biological source code. And before you go there, it is not because of our biological wiring. This wiring is the reason that we are here, the reason that we survived all of those years up until now. It's largely and most likely due to the massive shift in lifestyle and environment, particularly, but not exclusively, what we eat. So what's changed? Long story short, a lot. But one change really sticks out. Back in the 1700s, the average intake of added sugar was about 4 pounds per person per year. This was across the United States and the UK. But fast forward to modern day, and we're looking at an average of 150 pounds per person per year. And let's be honest here, fruit and honey isn't how the modern human is getting their average 77 grams of added sugar per day. More likely, and most likely, via ultra simple, ultra palatable, ultra processed foods and sugary beverages, which happen to be riddled with added fructose. And guess what? It wasn't until about 300 years ago that conditions such as gout, a byproduct of high uric acid, and obesity really started to become more prevalent. Oddly suspicious, huh? All of this has researchers from this particular group suggesting that it is the interaction between these ancient genetic changes and modern diet that is responsible for the obesity epidemic of today, being heavily driven by excess non-natural fructose. In other words, indicating that we humans may have to raise our hand and take the blame for this one. But as always, all hope is not lost. Things that you can do. The best part about being the most cognitively capable organism on this planet that we know about is that we can modify our current day actions and change our trajectory of life or health. So here are some things to noodle on. First, if you want the full story, I suggest you check out Rick Johnson's book, Nature Wants Us to Be Fat. It is a very, very interesting read. Second, does all this mean you now need to be scared of fructose? No, you don't. And I'm going to tell you why. Most sugar, when consumed in the structure of real whole foods, has a small fructose load, between 4 and 9 grams, much of which is metabolized in our intestines. So it doesn't even make its way to the liver where this survival switch is initiated. So first and foremost, try and satisfy your sweet tooth in the form of real whole foods. Not only do you get the intestinal shield, but the added benefits of fiber, which is naturally found in fruit and acts as a slow release agent for the sugar into your system. I always find that whenever I am looking to make a meaningful change, getting a solid baseline of where I'm currently at is super important. So take a hard look at your current eating habits and baseline what your current consumption of the added stuff looks like. This is all information that you can usually find on the nutrition label. From there, you can begin to identify some healthy swaps, specifically for those sugar-riddled ultra-processed snacks and sugary beverages, which may be the worst of all. And we cannot forget that most foods containing natural fructose are also abundant in vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients, like vitamin C, which can help neutralize and counterbalance a lot of the effects of excess fructose. So make sure you are getting your daily vitamins in, whether from food or supplementation. Now, again, it's important to note here that this alone, making this change alone, will not alleviate all of one's health woes. We are extremely complex organisms, and there are a lot of ongoing reactions happening at many different levels in this rapidly changing world. A dynamic that will continue to bring unique biological circumstances afloat. But what we put in each and every day in terms of energy definitely has a pretty substantial effect. And in most cases, it's something that we have pretty direct control over. So put yourself in a position to start operating efficiently. And if you want some help with that, you can always join our weekly health challenges, where we as a group introduce slow and sustainable longevity-focused change week by week. And if that sounds like your cup of tea, the link with all of the information will be in the description below. You know the motto: learn the system, hack the system, and pray that we don't have to deal with any more space rocks crashing the party anytime soon. But I think we're safe. I mean, we do have Papa Elon protecting us, right?